I'm Ashley.
I'm Caro.
And we have a special guest with us today.
Hi, my name is Lina.
Yay! Hi, Lina. Hi, Lina. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to be here.
And you're listening to Scary Not Scary podcast. So,
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Ashley's back finally.
I'm back, guys.
Hello.
I'm not gonna lie, it was really weird recording without you.
Yeah, because you usually get scared, and I was looking at Miranda to see if she got scared, and she's just like looking at me like, "What?" I'm like,
I was
"Be
scared,
scared."
like with a smile on my face, like,
I
"Oh
know.
my god, really?"
I'm next time. I was waiting for that that you do all
Or
the time.
the "Oh hell no."
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I missed it because it was clowns. Just saying.
Clown
I don't like
daddies.
clowns.
We only did clowns because
Ashley
of
goes,
you.
"So what are you naming the episode?" I was like, "Clown daddies." She's like, "Oh god."
I was like, I can't wait to hear
You're
it.
all why?
And then I told Nick so he can do the drawing, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, okay."
Well, it's because I type out my story and then I save it, and then you know how you name your stories?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I was like, I'm just going to name it Clown Daddy. So when I got here and I was recording with Mandy, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm recording. And I showed her my phone and she's all, Clown Daddy? And I'm like, yeah, Clown Daddy. And she's like, oh my God. I should name the episode that.
And then in the middle of the episode, I think we said, "Daddy, chill."
Yeah.
Oh my
Daddy
God.
chill. Dude, that's my favorite video in the world.
Oh, we
my
had all the
gosh.
lights off too.
Yep. No lights.
You did?
We could turn the lights off right now.
There was
I
no
guess
lights on.
Okay, it's okay.
No, we have that light and that
Maybe
light.
one.
Okay, I'll turn that light off.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Daddy chill. Have you seen that video? And the guy's all, what even is that?
Oh.
What even is that?
See, it's not that dark.
No, it's
Can you read your stuff, Lena?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
Lena, we're not in the 50s. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I don't want to hear it. Okay.
You're being a hater because we used to hate on you.
I know. I used to come all cute with all my notes written.
So Lena text us a picture of her notes for today, and I was like, "Why are you so cute though?" Because she wrote everything on paper, and I was like, "Really? She's cute."
Yeah, but when I used to do it, I used to get bullied because I didn't have an iPad. I'm like, leave me alone, okay? Leave me alone with my
Now you
paper and
email
my
everything
quill.
to yourself.
my paper
know.
and quill.
I mail it. I send it in the mail, and then it arrives to Mandy's house, and I open the letter and I read it.
You
Oh
know
my
what? I'm not
God.
gonna lie. I feel like you would do something crazy like
Pony
that.
Express. Yeah.
You would be dramatic like
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
I would have someone deliver it with the telegram.
Telegram. Oh my gosh.
Like we said, we're like, God, we should just like send each other flowers and like edible arrangements to work so we could look special.
Like, oh my God, who sent this?
Me,
It's a
oh,
secret
I
admirer.
have a
I
secret
don't know.
admirer. Not my husband. My secret admirer. I'm all sending it to myself.
Sarah, can I see the note? No.
It's private.
It's all to me from me. I love me.
I love your ass.
It's all wash your ass today.
Reminder. That's how I'm going to send reminders
Guys,
to myself.
make sure you wash y'all's butt cracks. I'm pretty sure I've reminded y'all before, but I'm reminding y'all again. Wash your butt cracks.
Yes.
Guys, wash your butt cracks.
I didn't know that was a thing until I saw that TikTok.
What
I
TikTok?
couldn't believe it.
You never seen that TikTok?
No.
So this girl's on there and she's talking about she was showering with her ex-boyfriend one night,
Uh-huh.
and she was washing her body and she started washing her butt crack, and he was all, "Why are you washing your butt crack?" She's like, "Why wouldn't I wash my butt crack? Do you not wash your butt crack?" He's like, "Well, nobody's ever told me I had to." And she was like, "So that's the story of how he became my ex."
Oh shit. Why would you not wash your butt crack?
I have no idea.
Oh,
Swipe it like a credit card.
He's like, "I thought wiping my ass after I shit is like clean enough." No.
Ew.
Residue, bro. Residue.
God.
No.
So I remember after that I texted him, "Do you wash your butt crack?" He's like, "Why wouldn't I wash my butt crack?" Okay, good, you passed.
You can stay.
That's gonna be a test now. So when I go on a date, I'm gonna be like, okay, so do you wash your butt crack?
You're gonna be like you're gonna have a clipboard. No. I don't know about that.
Get out.
Are you ready to hear my update on my paranormal stuff that's been going on?
Of course.
Sure.
Always.
So, like I mentioned in the episode with Cottle, because we heard some stuff while we were up here recording.
Oh, yeah.
You
And
did?
it wasn't Tim and Sabrina, because it was like downstairs in the living room.
I'm so glad I missed it. Okay.
But I didn't like tell the whole story because you weren't here. Because I want you to get scared.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
We saved it for you.
Lina knows because I told her at work. But so last Saturday was my grandpa's birthday party. Well, birthday party,
Yeah.
air quotes. So I went early in the morning to go see my aunt and my uncle. They came down from Amarillo, and then I came back into town. And I was like super tired. Tim was off of work. And he was like, do you want to go back to your grandma's or grandpa's? I was like, yeah, but I'm tired. Like, I want to take a nap. So I went in and took a nap. Sabrina ended up waking up. He took her to the living room. So then I was in the room by myself. And you remember how I told you I don't like to be submerged in the dark? Like,
Yeah.
completely in the dark by myself? Well, my hour nap ended up being like 3 or 4 hours. So I woke up like at 7:30, almost 8 o'clock. And I woke up and I was like rolling around in bed. I was texting my mom and I was like, like on Facebook, all that stuff, right? Laying in bed. Well, then I heard somebody say, Mandy. But it sounded like Tim. So I was like, babe, stop. Because he does that to scare me. So I thought maybe he was doing it from like the Alexa.
Mhm.
So I thought that's what he was using. And I looked at that little Echo Dot thing and I saw it wasn't lighting up. And I was like, that's weird. And then I looked at my phone thinking maybe somehow he was doing it from my phone. And like my phone was like, there was nothing on there. And then I heard it again, Mandy. But it was coming from like the darkest corner of the bedroom. So then I sat up and I was like looking and I heard my name again. But this time it was right by my ear. So I jumped up, I screamed, I lost my shit. Tim came running into the room and like it scared me so bad that I started crying. And like y'all know me, like that kind of stuff doesn't scare me like that anymore, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think because it caught me off guard, I was like, holy shit, like I was crying and it felt ugly. Like just the sound of it like right by my ear and like it was just gross. So Tim comes running into the room, he flips on the light and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm crying, I'm like, tell me it was you, right? He's like, what? And I was like, you were saying my name. He goes, no, I was in the living room with the baby. So after that, like, I just felt uneasy. And I was talking to my mom. My mom's like, cleanse the apartment. Like, just cleanse the house, cleanse everything. So,
Yeah.
okay. So I lit my candle. I had the holy water. I actually had Sabrina with me while I was cleansing. Asked him if he wanted to be with me. He said no, because he's not really into that stuff.
Yeah.
So I went through the whole apartment cleansing. As I was cleansing, like, my head was pounding. I was out of breath. And not because I'm fat and pregnant. Like, I was, like, literally, like, out of breath, like, saying, like, the prayers and all that stuff. Came upstairs, went back downstairs, and Tim was asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was trying to wake him up, like, hey, do you still want to go to grandma's? Like, whatever. And he just, like, opened his eyes, and he just stayed staring at me. And I was like, so do you want to go to grandma's? And he's like, close his eyes again. I was like, okay. So then I just stayed watching TV. Well, when he woke up again, we started bickering, like fighting with each other. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fight with you. Just go to bed. Well, then he went to bed. We woke up. He woke up. And then I started apologizing to him. And he was like, for what? Yeah. So I would tell my grandma what happened, and she was just like, well, maybe it was just like the negative energy, like because you cleansed it out, it was like trying to find its way back in.
Yeah.
Like, so it was trying to find a way for y'all to argue, to bring all that negativity back in. So like since then we've been okay. Like I haven't felt anything, I haven't really heard anything. No, lies. Sunday night. When did Tim get drunk? Sunday night, right?
Yeah.
Sunday going into
When
Monday.
did Tim get drunk?
That's a different story in itself. So Sunday we ended up going to my grandparents, came back. Tim got too drunk and I had to leave him in the truck asleep because I'm pregnant and I can't carry him inside.
Like the night of my party drunk?
Yes.
Ay, Dios.
But he wasn't throwing up. So I think
Okay.
that's why he wasn't trying to force himself out of the car because he
Uh-huh.
probably knew he was going to throw up. So I rolled down the windows like a dog. Me cracked the windows. But I kept waking up every 30 to 45 minutes to go out there and check on him because I don't trust my neighbors. I was like, he's okay. Tim's not ugly, but I'm like, he's going to get trafficked. Like, they're going to kidnap him and put him, like, in the sex ring.
Oh.
Like, they're going to rob him. They're going to steal my truck. They're going to steal my truck with him in it. Like,
all these things.
Like all these crazy things, and like I was telling one of my other friends, and she's like, "Yeah, because Tim's pretty." She's like, I can see them like wanting to throw him in those rings.
Tim, you're pretty.
So I was like freaking out. So I would check on him every 35 minutes. So basically, I had no sleep, right?
Yeah.
So finally, like around 7 something, I was able to get him upstairs. So finally, when I got him upstairs, I laid him down or he threw himself on the couch, and then I laid down in the bed. Well, then I started hearing crawling, like, all in the bedroom. And I started hearing scratching at the walls.
Nope.
And I told you about the raccoons before. But this was not a raccoon. This was different. It was different. And it was loud, and it was rustled, and it was like something was just trying to get into the apartment. So then I had to start praying again. I had to light the candle. I had to do the prayers. And then after that, it just stopped out of nowhere. So now we hear like the rustling, but it's the raccoons that we hear. It's not that I heard. And then when we were recording, we heard what did we hear? A little girl, right?
Shut up!
It was over here.
Yeah, it was over here. We heard like a little girl. I forgot. You were telling your story, and you were like, "What is your name?" or "Who are you?" or I forgot what your story was.
It sounded like someone going, or like something like that. Like, or like laughing. I don't know. It was like, but it wasn't the baby because the baby was in the room with him. So I stopped and I looked at Mandy. I said, "Did you hear that?" But it sounded like a little girl was like either laughing or like saying something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not my phone.
And I looked over there and I looked down like the stairs, and she's like, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I thought it was Sabrina at the stairs." She goes, "I heard it in the closet."
Yeah.
You want to switch me seats?
No.
So I don't have to look at the closet? Because I can perfectly see the closet from here.
You're fine.
Oh my god.
But it cleansed. I haven't felt anything or heard anything, so I think we're good.
We're okay. You're in good hands, Ashley.
You're in good hands.
Well, I guess I'd rather see it than not see it, so I'm fine. Okay.
Are you sure you'd rather see it?
No.
She's like this.
No.
Now I'm trying to remember what
guys,
I heard.
and that's our episode. We'll see you next
Bye.
week. No, I'm just kidding.
That's my cue to go now, okay?
That was just the opening of this episode.
Yes.
We always have these crazy things happening to us.
So speaking of the paranormal, Ashley's gonna have an even more heart attack. You might have to call 911.
Ay, Dios. My heart's like legit, like
They're all-
pounding.
Do you need police or emergency? Both.
Both,
Do
please.
you have a demonologist?
Do you have a demonologist on call, please?
call?
Can we have them here ASAP?
I was gonna say in stock, like we're in the store.
In stock.
I've been
Can you
online
imagine?
shopping too much.
Oh, I still want to take that class though.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
We're gonna take a class.
We found a demonologist class to take online.
Nope.
Online.
Online.
Ashley.
And
there's
if-
a coupon for 50%
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, but you have to pretend like you're gonna click out of it, and they're like, "Please don't go. Here's 50% off coupon."
Yeah.
That's a sign.
No.
Don't do it.
I know,
It
right?
teaches you how to protect yourself, get rid of, and summon demons. But we're
So
not gonna
take
summon.
whichever one you want.
I'm fine. I'm okay.
You might laugh. I'm like,
Ugh.
So speaking of the scary stuff that creeps in the corner of the darkness, this week's episode is all about the shadow people. Shadow people. If you couldn't hear me, I said shadow people. So we've kind of touched on shadow people before,
Yeah.
but
Ish.
we've gotten a lot of we had a couple of listener stories about shadow people, so we were like, might as well do an episode about it, and hence that's why we have our special guest Lina here, because she's a shadow person.
Expert.
she's the queen.
She's the queen of shadow people.
They
Shadow
attached to me for some reason. I don't want to see these things, but they just happen.
So
Thanks, Lina.
I'm like, just don't bring your people here.
No, I can't promise you that.
Ashley's on
But take 'em.
these
Take
switch
'em.
Ashley's like,
spots.
I don't want to sit next to you anymore.
You're scary.
Just want to let y'all know, I hear see anything, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Just don't be surprised if you see a shadow right here.
I'll finish recording
Or
my
creeping
part and send
around.
it to you.
Creeping up like the right here where the ledge is of the loft. Just
Oh no.
I will
man.
throw my coffee at it.
It all lands on Tim.
my god.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, not gonna lie, these were a little creepy, but I feel like shadow people are kind of like, because majority of the history stuff that I was looking at, they're like, you see them out of like your peripheral like vision.
Yeah.
And so some stories and like encounters that I was looking at, like some people are like, it could be, it could not be, because it happens like sometimes so quick, or they'll see it like in the corner. But shadow people are also known as like either a shadow figure, a shadow being, or like some sort of black mass. So sometimes it doesn't even have like a distinctive shape to it. But basically it's the perception of a patch of shadow as a living humanoid figure, or it can be interpreted as the presence of a spirit or other entity. And sometimes they're not all bad. Like that's what I was reading. Like sometimes the shadow person, like majority of them, they associate it with like something horrible, but sometimes like back in the day, like way back, they would think of like shadow people as like a way of like guiding you like on your life, like on the path, like kind of to keep you on track kind of. So they're not always that bad. And they sometimes have like, I thought it was funny, they have shades of the underworld. So they're like various shades. Like they can, yeah, like some people say they see like light gray shadow people. And I was trying to figure out like why different colors. Like, does it mean something? Does it not? But I couldn't find like a distinctive like yes or no like type thing. So they range from like, I'm thinking of like a medium like gray, kind of like a dark heather gray or something.
Like a charcoal maybe?
Yeah, to like black shadowy type of
You
thing.
think it's like the color is like by how evil they
intense?
are?
Yeah,
Something like that.
that's what I was thinking. Like how intense, like maybe.
Oh my
Really? During my story?
What was that? It was literally right behind me.
My eyes are watering. I'm laughing.
Oh goodness.
It's because how hard I'm laughing, but also because that was not planned. I was about to say, Tim, stop, but wait, he's downstairs.
And that was like right there, like in the restroom.
What was that? I wonder if it
Don't
caught.
go look at it! Better be a damn raccoon.
No, that sounded like it was like from the mic, right?
No, it sounded like it was from there, but just like a clear.
The door was open.
Who wants to finish my story?
Don't cry. We're gonna be
No,
okay.
it's because I'm laughing so hard. I just looked right at Ashley, like her face. You okay?
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. We had a ghost guest.
I lost my place.
Lina's like, it's my friend.
Friends,
Don't
my
worry.
shadow person. They just wanted to come along with me.
Probably.
Okay, what was I saying?
The shades are right. Different shades.
Intensity.
The intensity of the shades maybe possibly have different meanings.
Yeah, that thing. So, oh my jeebus. Okay. There is a book written by Heidi, either Hollis or Hollis. And she published her first book that was talking about shadow people. And it was called Guest on Coast. Oh, she was a guest on Coast to Coast. I think it's like I don't know if it's a podcast or if it's like some sort of like radio show. She describes them as being like, she says they're alien beings and are very negative, and they can be repelled by, of course, like prayers and like stuff like that. But she thinks of them as like negative alien beings is what she thinks of them as.
Shadow people?
Yeah, that's what she said. But I mean, you know,
How?
I have no idea. I don't know how, like, why she thinks alien people.
beings.
Yeah, but there's so many people like going back and forth because some authors are like, oh no, they're negative. Some authors are like, oh no, they're like here to like help us. No, like this. So there's a lot of like conflicting things. So, or they can be neutral. Like they said, they're just kind of like there. So you know what I mean? So a lot of paranormal authors don't agree on one specific thing. Like there's so many across the board. But I did find several psychological conditions that have been reported. Of course, the most common one is like sleep paralysis, where you see it like the most. And it usually is a shadow person that will be approaching them while they're lying awake. So most of the people, they're laying in bed, they can't move. And while they're like laying there like paralyzed, they'll see like a figure or something like coming close to you. I was like, why'd you look behind me? But the thing that I found kind of interesting was a lot of like heroin addicts see shadow people a lot. Like they have so many reports of it because I think that like they don't get much sleep.
Yeah, because they're sleep deprived.
Yes,
they don't sleep at all. Or
exactly.
Anything,
And so a lot of people say when a lot of addicts report seeing like shadow people.
I won't say what friend, but I do have a friend whose brother was like on drugs and stuff.
Really?
And like he ran outside, he got the shotgun and he was like, they're here. And her dad came outside and he's like, who's here? And he's like pointing all around, they're here, they're coming for me. And he was saying that he was seeing people. And the dad's like, what are you talking about? There's no people here. And he's like, them, they're right there. They have no face. But he was like high off drugs and he hadn't slept in a few days. Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. They did, one psychiatrist did actually interview someone who was an addict and he was still on like heroin. So he wanted to like find out specifically like what he was thinking while he was on it. And the person said, you don't see shadow dogs, you don't see shadow birds or shadow cars. All I see is shadow people. They're either standing in the doorways, they're walking behind you, they're coming at you like on the sidewalk. And he described it as like some sort of like negative feeling that he would see. But he says that you never really, like they're always walking slow. They don't like go like real fast, like up to you. But they described it as like hallucinations. So some psychiatrists say it's not real. Some say it's because of the drugs. And then others say it could be like a lot of people sometimes with like schizophrenia or like multiple personality disorder. They can sometimes see them too. So they think it's like a psychological thing that happens in their head. Sorry, I'm still freaking out a little bit.
I know, I see you, like, your eyes are all big.
I'm trying to, like, hurry through my story so I can stop talking.
No, I'm just gonna curl up in the corner and go sleep.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I found a lot of things. Shadow people, they say could have had originated from the Cherokee folklore of the Indians, but they said it as, like, they're a black mass or humanoid shape shadowy figure, but these ones apparently crawled on the ground. So majority of the ones that you hear about, I guess now, like they're upright, like they stand. But back then, the Cherokee people reported like they're crawling, like shadowy figures on the ground, and I was like,
I've seen
"What
those.
you have?"
Skinwalker.
My
Like-
mom too.
Really?
Yeah.
Nope. Okay. There was a creature that someone from the Cherokee legend said that it could have been a spirit of a dead Cherokee witch that came back from the underworld to prey on the living. So that's kind of where they're saying like this whole shadow person thing might have originated from. But of course, no one's still for certain. They don't know like what they are. But it says like the normal, you see them out of your peripheral vision. If a flashlight like were to shine upon them, the light will not pass through them. So they absorb light. So no matter if like they're walking in front of, like, you know, sometimes like in movies and stuff, ghosts, you can see through them. The shadow person will absorb the light. That's why they're so dark and so like, that's what I was trying to figure out. Well, if you see like light gray ones, does the light pass through them or yeah, like,
Or
you know?
just like a solid dark gray.
Yeah. I'm like,
I
Okay.
never even knew we had colors.
Neither.
So-
like I've never
I thought it was
seen.
just, like,
I've always
Yeah.
just seen
shadows.
like a black mass. I've never
Yeah.
seen like gray.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Maybe those are aliens.
Maybe.
Right.
Or it could just be bull. I don't know. Bull. So there are 4 types of shadow figures that have been reported by people over centuries. So the first one is, of course, the shadow person, which is a black mass shape where light can't pass through. It moves slowly. It sometimes flees when asked. So if you tell it like go away or something like that, it'll listen and okay, bye. Sometimes, not all the time. Light does make them retreat, but it's only occasionally. So sometimes they could be like, bitch, I'm staying even though you're shining light on me. I don't care. The other one, they call them creepers. I started laughing at that. Which is the one that the Cherokee, I think, had seen, because it says they're a black mass in a human shape that crawls across the floors, the walls, or the ceilings. And they also move slowly, but there have been rare occurrences where it has moved like quickly. So I thought of like a spider rolling across.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, that's creepy. I don't like that. The other one is like a dark black mass, like super black, where there's no distinct forms to them. It's just like a blob of like black. And those move super small. They move super slow. And then the last one is a dark mist. This is where I'm thinking like the light gray comes in, because it's like a dark smoky mass that some light will be able to pierce through, but it only appears, it like moves slowly and cautiously. So it's kind of like an orb, how it kind of just bobs, kind of like that.
Oh.
Yeah, so those are the 4 different types of it. And that's what I found.
Wow.
I'm still like aliens.
Yeah, I think
Where
she
you
was
get it?
like on drugs.
I
Probably
read
high.
too like that some people have theories that maybe shadow people can be like astral projecting, like
Yeah.
like people's souls like astral projecting away, or like they could be like the lost souls. Because I forgot where, it was a long time ago, it was like some YouTube video I was watching. They were like, well, you know, like those deaths where like people have like no explanation of how somebody died in their sleep. Well, they're thinking they died in their sleep because they astral projected too far and got lost.
Oh.
So maybe like shadow people can be like those lost souls.
That
too.
makes sense.
That does make sense.
Or like that they can, because I also read too, I forgot which asylum it was, but there's a lot of shadow people in that asylum, and they said that some shadow people like to feed off like dying souls, or like they
Sad.
feed off fear and like all that stuff too.
Oh my god.
It's interesting.
But the astral projecting one is, I
That
like
makes
that theory.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
That's
Mhm.
scary.
No, I'm not gonna go to sleep anymore.
I
don't want to.
I don't want to travel too far.
Alright.
I don't want to be insidious.
Insidious.
Oh, y'all better come find me.
You know.
So I
I'll
have
astral
3 short encounter stories. Encounter stories actually. So be careful.
I'm like really freaked out now.
I'm laughing
Like,
at Lina because her paper falls away.
That's
She
why
got
I don't
scared.
use paper. Just kidding. That was on me like literally 2 months ago.
I think we all started with paper.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
always slowly,
And then I
like,
started like
We're
trying
all
to be
fine, I guess.
I know. I would bring my laptop sometimes, all
Oh, my
professional. Okay, this is a story of a girl named Lucky. Just kidding.
Oh my
No.
God.
I was like, wait, that's a Britney Spears song.
Okay, so there is this girl. She was in high school. She went to a sleepover at her friend's house at a trailer park. It turns out that her next door neighbor had passed away a couple of months back, so the trailer was empty. The girls were having like a good time. They were barbecuing, whatever you do at a trailer park. I don't know. And they decided to go poke around the house and see what was in the abandoned trailer. They hadn't even gone inside yet when one of the girls started yelling that she saw a black figure of a man walking around in there. But whatever it was, she knew it wasn't a shadow because it was just like way too dark. And it was like literally walking straight towards them. So that was the
And it kind
encounter
of reminds
story.
me of that movie, It Follows. Have you seen that movie?
Uh-uh.
Oh my god, we have it. You want to watch it?
Let's
No.
watch it after this.
Okay. It's a
Poor
sex demon.
Ashley, like her eyes
Oh
are
no, but it's a
watery.
sex demon. You're fine. It's a sex demon.
Did you say sex? Just kidding. So that one I found it on. Yes. I don't
That
remember.
one.
That one.
It was either
I
need to look it up.
Wattpad
or Reddit. I think it was Wattpad. But this one, I was actually like looking at YouTube videos, and I saw this YouTube video. I just clicked it. It was all random, of a man, and in the video, it doesn't say his name, but he's like this older looking man. He's like really tough with like a beard. Like he just looks like a big tough man. He was talking about when he was like 6 years old. Someone's walking up the stairs.
Y'all heard that, right?
Yes, it was like a.
I thought it was Tim.
Today. I love today.
I don't.
Let me text him.
So is he on the couch? Sure.
No, he's in the room.
She's like, oh.
Mommy.
Guys, this is gonna be a long episode.
Yeah, we keep getting interrupted by unknown.
Honey, I'm gonna call him.
I'm sitting like this.
I'm gonna call him and you're gonna hear.
I can
You're
see
gonna
both
hear.
sides.
Hold on.
You want to keep going?
Hmm?
You want to?
I was like, I quit.
I
I quit the rest of the episode.
We gotta get through
We'll
this.
stage afterwards.
We gotta get through this. Oh, I don't even know.
Do you want me to bring my guardian angel candle up here?
Your holy water.
I
It's
mean,
in
I
the
don't
room.
mind. It's y'all. Y'all okay?
I'm okay.
I'm gonna keep spraying.
Are you
Salt
This
free
is
the
a
salt.
fun episode.
This is not a fun episode.
I think
I like to hear it.
Oh my
Lina's like,
God.
where do I move in? Where's my room?
I know, right? I don't even remember what I was talking about. Should I keep
About the
going, or
guy.
do you want to wait?
No, keep going. Keep going.
Nah, I'm not even. I'm just like,
Do you want me to go
don't
check?
interrupt me again, okay, Ghost? Just at least finish. Wait till I'm done with these 2 stories. Thanks, please. Okay. So I saw this video of a man on YouTube. It didn't say his name. It was just like an older looking tough man, and he was talking about when he was 6 years old, he was playing with his toy cars on the floor in his laundry room, and then he felt like he was being watched. So now it was barely 2 p.m. Usually you hear like these stories about shadow people like late at night, but no, he said it was 2 p.m. daytime. There was like the sun out, and that he just saw this black figures at the window staring at him, but like no face, no nothing, just like a black shadow, but in the daytime staring at him. And mind you, this guy looks all tough, biker like dude, and he said like no matter how tough I am, like this event like shocked me for the rest of my life. Like I feel like I'm not the same. I feel like that thing peered into my soul. And so then he said that years later he saw this figure again, and it was in the living room with him, and it starts walking towards him, and he's like, what do you want? And then the figure literally just walked into his mirror and never came back out. Ashley's face.
I'm
She's
like,
just
just get
like-
through these stories.
She's like ready to like
Leave.
run down the stairs.
I didn't know they
if she
walk
goes
through
to-
freaking mirrors too. Like, damn.
They're
Yeah.
shadow.
Hello.
That would be another good
Hello.
episode, mirrors.
That would
That's
be.
on the
Put it in the
list.
burn book.
Put it in
Um,
the
burn
book.
Okay, guys, this one freaked me out because I literally, it's short, but this was like literally like a random video on YouTube, and it was called like The Curse of the Shadow People. And it was just like this video that popped up out of nowhere. Like it was random, and this like voice starts talking. Like it's weird. I don't even know if I can find it anymore. So the voice starts talking, and the man's like, you manifest them by talking to them. He was saying, you manifesting the shadow people by talking about them. And then he's like,
great.
yeah. And then he was just like, well,
God
now
damn.
that we're talking about them, you can't stop thinking about them, right? Like he was literally just talking like that.
Oh, it was like one of those videos.
Yeah, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what? And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm sitting there like, okay. And then he's like, yep, now you're gonna keep talking about them and thinking about them. And then he's like, look, try to stop thinking about them. In my head, I'm like, fuck, I can't. Like, shadow people. I'm all shadow people, shadow people, shadow people. You know what I mean? Like, in my head. And then it says, just imagine they're in your bedroom at night, standing behind you, peering at you. And I'm like, why is he telling me these things? Like, I'm just sitting there, like, shocked. Like, what
You
is
got
this
too
dude?
far. I would have closed the damn video.
Yeah. And then he's just like, what did he say? It says, imagine him peeing.
Imagine him peeing on your face.
Yeah. It says, imagine him peering into your window or even like hanging off the ceiling directly above you. And now I'm like, shit, at night I'm going to look up at my ceiling and think about this. Like, and then he said, shadow people will not haunt you. And then it finished. And I'm like, what kind of shit? But okay.
Rude.
Yeah. And like I tried to look for that video again.
It's not even a shadow person. It's voodoo hanging off the ceiling
with his little claws. And then now, like, as soon as like I stop watching the video, I'm like, well, fuck. Like, I manifested these motherfuckers right now. I just probably manifested them right now by talking about them, and now I can't stop thinking about shadow people.
Like, great.
Thanks, dude. And
Oh my
so,
God damn.
so
I
all
just
night.
cleansed my house, guys.
Oh, I'll help you this time. But that was my 3 little
If we were at
stories.
Drew's, he would have been like, y'all aren't leaving until y'all cleanse my house.
Yeah.
Right now, let's go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the Hat Man. And I'm sure a lot of people know who the Hat Man is.
I don't.
And like Ash kind of touched on earlier, a lot of these shadow people are manifested sometimes through dreams or like sleep paralysis. And apparently the Hat Man is manifested also through dreams and sleep paralysis. And I actually found a website that's called thehatmanproject.com. And it's literally a website of just people documenting their experiences with the Hat Man, whether it was sleep paralysis, dreams, if they saw him like in real life, like while they were awake, all this crazy stuff. It's pretty cool, so you should check it out. I'll post it on Facebook. But the Hat Man. So basically, he's a paranormal phenomenon that basically people report seeing a shadow entity dressed in like an old top hat on some occasions. Others say it's more like a fedora. Or like an old detective hat, or sometimes in a cape. So like drawings that people have shown before kind of reminds me of Jeepers Creepers. So just picture Jeepers Creepers as a shadow person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love him.
So basically, like the Hat Man acts like a ghost. He's almost always just seen there, like standing, staring at you. And then other times his form can just like fade away. Like there's like just kind of like fade away, like there was nothing there in the first place. What happened? What'd you see? Okay. Oh. For example, many people have reported that they have actually like ran into the entity in real life, or like they'd be running down the street and then like, or like driving down a dark road, and then they'll just see like a man in like a fedora hat just standing there staring at them, no face. They couldn't see like any clothing, just like a dark shadowy figure standing there. There's other people too that say that he's tormented them in their dreams. They would have dreams where like the Hat Man would like slaughter their entire families, or like slaughter the people that they kill, or slaughter whoever is in the dream, and it's just the Hat Man standing there. Or like sleep paralysis. They're in a sleep paralysis state, and then standing over them, they just see the Hat Man. They got the man in a hat just standing there staring at them, either face to face or like from the doorway staring at them.
Oh.
So basically, unlike a ghost, like I said, he has no features, so you can't see his features at all. The Hat Man is just a dark, shadowy entity with no details. The only detail that you see is that he has a hat on his head. He doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't say anything. He just stands there and stares at you and pretty much torments you.
He's the
however long.
creeper one.
He's like the creeper, like literally the creeper. Like he just stands there and stares at you. A lot of people say like he feeds off of like your terror. So like if you do see him, it's gonna be kind of hard, but try not to be scared.
Oh.
And just like get your spiritual energy up and just like try to pray and like be very vocal. Like you have to be vocal to get rid of him or like any shadow person in general.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's very rude.
there's a lot of paranormal investigators that like believe that this entity should be studied, and it kind of reminds me of the old hag from sleep paralysis.
Oh, yes.
So like the old hag, people have similar experiences with her. Same thing with the Hat Man. So a lot of paranormal investigators think that he should be investigated in, and like he should be studied, because there's so many people across the world that have encountered this entity. And like apparently there's like a documentary series that either has already been out on him or is currently being developed. I'm not too sure. I tried looking for it. I couldn't find it. But like I said, there is that website, thehatmanproject.com. And there's like a lot of people on here that have seen him. And they're very, very long. Oh, somebody said that they took pictures of him.
What?
Look at that.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, wow.
Is that a face?
Oh, no. It looks like Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that bottom one.
I want to lick him.
Battle!
That's probably why he's here. What's up, mama?
So I've never encountered the Hat Man, but I have a really close friend that had. And I was actually texting her this morning about it. Just because when she was experiencing this stuff, like she would literally call me crying. And there had been times where like I had to go to her house and sleep with her because she was just like so terrified to be by herself. And a lot of the times like her family would be out of town. And I'm talking about my friend Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Oh,
Ruby. Hi, Ruby.
Hi,
She
Ruby.
did give me permission to use her name and to tell her story. But she's so funny when she sent me the message, the text, she put, "It's been almost 10 years. It's the little old lady from Titanic. So I'm going to read word for word what she texted. So she said, "It's been almost 10 years. I've only ever seen this shadow twice in my life, and I'm always scared I'll see him again. The first time was in a dream. The second time was down my parents' hallway, rushing into my room. That same time, my aunt, who was sleeping in my room, was woken up by some demonic yells. At least that's how she described it the morning after." So going back to my dream. In my dream, I was at Southside High School and college. It was like a mix of both. So we had all these dorms, and the faculty would leave, and the students would basically do whatever, like us as students, we would do whatever we wanted. Long story short, we were planning a huge bonfire / Halloween party after the faculty would leave. And I dreamt there was a vision, that I had a vision. In the vision, I saw the Hat Man killing my friends. And when I came back, like in the show That's So Raven,
Oh, good.
I wouldn't believe it. I saw him again later on that evening after he killed everybody at the bonfire, just staring back at me. I ran as fast as I could, and when I came to a dead end, I turned and he was there. I couldn't describe any of his features, just his tall stature and trench coat and his noticeable hat. He was about to kill me right before I woke up, drenched in sweat. I was so shaken, I was legit terrified to sleep the following few nights. Of course, in my dream, there's a lot more details that I left out, like how he killed everyone and how I saw every detail of it. I felt like it was a horror movie playing inside my head. It wasn't until a few years later that I found out that other people had seen this figure. And believe me, it was definitely after the second time I saw him. I was shooketh. Shooketh. At that time, I just thought it was just another one of those paranormal activities, so I brushed it off. During my teens until my mid-20s, I've seen and experienced things that I learned to brush off, but my dreams started to bug me out. Demonic possessions and like that started to appear after the Hat Man initially came into my life. At one point, I was fighting with everyone in my family out of frustration with the paranormal. People don't think it exists, but it does. Unfortunately, there are things we can't explain, and it mentally and physically takes toll on someone. After I cried to my mom, she had 2 aunts of mine, the religious one, to come do a house cleaning, and the bruja aunt to come clean me. My bruja aunt believed me because of the things that I said and I experienced. Everything was all in just my room that I've experienced. I don't know if it was the Hat Man who sparked these experiences or not, but I'm glad that it stopped. Maybe he's out there terrorizing someone else. I don't know. That poor soul.
Wow.
And she did say, and I was like, "Oh my God, Ruby, that's so scary." But I did tell her, like, I do remember her telling me that. Like, she called me crying one night because she said that she heard somebody knocking at her window, and she would look, and like there was nobody there. And then suddenly the knocking was coming from her door, and she would look under her door, and she just saw like a figure of somebody walking back and forth. But at that time, like her family was out of town. She was home by herself. So she called me crying. So I had told her she could come stay with me. But she had to take care of, you know, their animals, like their dogs and stuff. So I went over there and stayed with her a few times. But I do remember like being in her room and like feeling uncomfortable, like something didn't just want me there.
Yeah.
It was just weird. Yeah. So
hell no.
she did say, like, till this day, like, she loves everything paranormal. She listens to our podcast, but when it comes to like demons or like demonic possessions, like, she won't go anywhere near it. She won't watch movies or anything that has anything to do with that because of just the experiences that she had.
Same. I mean, no experiences, but
yeah,
I won't
stop.
watch it. I won't watch anything.
So basically, her seeing the Hat Man, like, he was terrorizing her for a long time. And I just think it's crazy that she saw him rush into her room. So she said, I remember her, she told me this in person. She said that she was passing down the hallway, and then she saw a shadow of somebody standing at the end of the hallway, and he was tall, with like a trench coat. He had a hat on. And she said right when she made eye contact with him and she saw him, he like just rushed into her room. And after that, she was scared to go in her room.
What if it was like, oh shit, she saw me?
Yeah, that's kind of like how I pictured it. But yeah, so that's the Hat Man, guys. We don't know what he wants or who he is, but apparently he comes into your dreams while you're in sleep paralysis. And kind of also reminds me of like Freddy Krueger. Like, if you dream about him, then like you start seeing him in real life too, almost.
And you don't know if it's like a dream or real anymore.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah. So like a lot of like the stuff I was reading is that people would say like they experienced him during sleep paralysis, or they experienced him like in a nightmare, and then they started seeing him like in real life, but they weren't sure if it's because he wasn't sleeping because they didn't want to dream about him, or like because he actually manifested himself like in the real world. Okay, Lina, cochina.
You ready for me?
Whenever you're ready.
So, with me, I feel like these have always been happening to me. You know, thinking about it now, ever since I was little, you know, young. I really didn't think about it recently until, you know, for this podcast. I remember hearing footsteps at night while everybody was asleep, and I was always the type of kid to close my door just because I was afraid of robbers. And so while everybody was asleep, all you just hear is like
Oh yeah.
And so of course that scared me, but I always stayed in my room just because I felt safe there. Until one morning I woke up and I felt like somebody was playing with my feet, and then they grabbed them. And I'm like, I was barely waking up, so I'm like, okay, maybe it's my mom trying to wake me up. And I'm just like, no, Mom, no. And I look and nobody's there. And then I look under the bed and nobody's there. So then that's when I got scared. And I was like, well, who could it be? Like, who would do that? And then the next morning, it was I was also getting up, and so the bed was shaking. And then I woke up, and then it was like moving. Like my whole bed was moving, like it was about to lift off the ground.
What?
So I didn't know what to think about that, and I didn't call my mom either just because I didn't want to freak her out. And so I just left it as is, and then it stopped. And then I just went on about my day. So with everything that went on with me, I was wondering, you know, where it came from, because everybody that we knew have lived in that house before. And of course it was an old house, but family members have lived there. So I was there ever since I was a little girl. But as I got older, I heard everything that was going on at my grandma's house, which she lived right next door. And my aunt would always see things, hear things. Even her cat would hear stuff and freak out and like, and one thing that really scared me from there was I was actually there. They were taking pictures at a party that my grandma had, you know, all the family was there. And so they developed the pictures because, you know, it's one of those old-fashioned
yeah.
cameras where you have to go to Walmart to get them developed. Anyway, so that's what she did. And then I heard my mom on a phone call, and she said, like, really? Can you bring it over here? So I'm like, what is she talking about? So we ended up going to my grandma's house. And so you see the picture, and the TV was off, but there were people inside the TV, but shadows. And they were just like looking up like that. But there was nobody around. Like, it was like dark, but all you see are the shadows just staring up at
From
the
the
camera.
TV.
Yeah, so the TV was right here, and then like my aunts were taking a picture, and it's, you can see the TV clear like that, and then all the people just like looking up. And so they're like, well, there's nobody else around but them and me, but you can't see any of that in there. It's just the people looking. So I remember seeing that picture, and it still haunts me when I think about it to this day. So I had recently asked my mom, I'm like, Mom, like, do you think Grandma still has that picture? And she says, no, she burnt it. Just because it was that terrifying.
Scary.
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
And so especially everything happening over there, like, nobody wants that evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's like I want to see that picture again, but then I don't, just because I remember it so clearly in my head.
I want it for our Instagram.
Yeah.
Just kidding, right?
I wish I had it though. And so another thing that nobody really knows about me, on just my few close, of course, family and friends, is I did lose my dad tragically a few years back. So, of course, that was a major thing that changed me as a person. And I was just, never the same again. And I just went on and did my other things and, didn't even think about anything like that. But a few months after that happened, my mom was cooking, and I told her, Mom, wake me up so that way I can eat. And of course, she never did. So the next thing I knew, I woke up. It was like in the middle of the night. I don't know what time it was because I didn't look. So I remember getting up, and we had this long couch, which is the one I was sleeping on. And then a few feet over was another little sitting couch, if that's what you want to call it. And I see this figure. It's like a man, but he's not like a black shadow. It's a white, but red eyes. And it's just staring like into my soul. And I stopped, I was just like, and we were just like staring into each other's eyes for like what seemed forever. And my body just paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, if I run, I'm going to have to run past him. So what if he grabs me? And so I was just there for a long time until I finally got the courage to just run. And that was just like the most terrifying thing that I've ever really experienced, as far as actually seeing somebody, like full on seeing somebody. And he was just sitting there, like
staring at you,
staring at me. And I thought it was, a man there, but I mean, he was all white. He didn't have a face. He just had those like red glowing eyes.
Why red eyes though?
But like, this was a white shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all backwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when you showed the shadow man with the top hat, and I'm like, he had like those piercing red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, it couldn't have been him because he's all white, like,
yeah.
And it wasn't just like white. It was like a glowing white, but still something evil was there. And, I have told these stories to some friends. They're like, oh, it was probably your dad. I'm like, no.
Yeah,
no.
I was
Your
like,
dad with red eyes?
when you said like you saw a white figure, I was thinking maybe your dad until you said the red eyes. Then I was like, no, that couldn't have been your dad.
Yeah, because even after that, like, there were signs, like little butterflies like landing on me, or something in the shape of a heart that was unexplainable. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that's probably my dad. But to see that was just something else. So I don't know what it was. I never saw it again.
Maybe you saw a fallen angel.
Maybe.
With red eyes.
Well, because fallen angels are like angels, but they're like
Not angels.
like they're demon. They're not demons. They're like evil angels. Like they fall from heaven because they turn their backs on God. You know what I mean? So they still have like that. I don't know. It's weird. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and I remember it's clear in my head still, like,
I probably would have done the same thing. I would have stayed staring at it and then like, okay, I'm gonna go now.
See, but yeah, it didn't go
Mhm.
away. Like, it stayed there for the
Mhm.
longest time until I ran. And then I kind of remember looking back, and the head was just turning.
Oh, like it followed you,
Wow.
like
Followed
it
me.
watched you out of the room.
Yes.
Oh hell no!
And I remember looking back, I'm like, don't look back, don't look back. And I looked back, and all you see is just the head, like, moving. And, of course, all the body.
Mm-hmm.
But I slammed the door to my mom's room, and I just went to sleep there. And
Did you tell your mom what you saw?
no.
She don't
I
want
didn't
to
tell her
scare her.
any
Yeah.
of these
I
things.
burn the house down.
When I saw mine, I just covered my
she can't
freaking
burn
head.
her mom's house down.
I'd be like, Mom, eventually I'll buy you another one.
Insurance money.
There you go.
And I guess it has to do with people not believing you, because you know
Yeah.
you can tell somebody, like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, she's lying.
People are so quick to dismiss scary stuff.
I'm not. I believe you. You're like, I
You know
heard
what
this.
I
You're
mean?
like, what? Where did you hear it? Where
So
did
I
you
won't
see
go.
it?
Yeah.
So I won't go there.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Oh.
years later, you know, I never really thought about anything again. And if something did happen, you know, I didn't pay attention to it. But this was back in high school. We were living in Austin at the time, and it was during the summer. Usually I had like the dance camps, and then my brother also had like summer school. And there was, I was supposed to come here to San Antonio for a weekend, but something happened where I just didn't go. So I woke up in the morning, and all you hear is just like pots and pans moving. And I'm like, what is my mom doing? Like, is she cooking? And so then I heard something louder. I'm like, oh no, wait, my mom's at work. And then I'm like, oh, okay, like it's my brother. Like, he's trying to find something to eat. So then I text my mom, and I said, I can't even remember what I texted her. And she's like, no. I was like, well, who's here? I said, because somebody's making loud noises in the kitchen. And she's like, nobody's home. I'm at work, and your brother's at summer school. I'm like, okay. I said, no, somebody's here, because I hear the kitchen. Like, somebody's like opening the drawers. It sounds like they're making something, like just like you sound like when, you know, in the mornings. And she's like, nobody's there. And I said, okay, well, maybe I'm just hearing things. And then I didn't hear it. But then I started to hear footsteps. And they were walking towards my door.
Oh.
And so I immediately locked it, and I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, are you sure? Like, nobody's here. She's like, no, nobody's there. And I'm like, okay, bye. And then you just hear it, the footsteps. They're loud. They sound like an actual man's boots, because we had like wood floors. So, I mean, they were just loud, and I'm like, somebody's in here. Like, if it's not them, like somebody just broke in. So my dumb self, I went to hide in the bathtub. And I always told myself, if something were to happen, never hide in the bathtub, because they're gonna go straight there, and then, you know, you're dead. But that's what I did. But at first I stayed on my bed, and then I heard them go to my mom's room, and they were messing with stuff in there. And she had this jar of pins, and then it fell over. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, somebody's in here. And so I hear them walk back out, go to the kitchen again, and it sounded like they grabbed a knife. It was like that shing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh no. And I called my mom, and I just started crying. And I'm like, Mom, somebody's in the house. Somebody's in the house. I was like, you need to come home now. And she's like, call the cops. Like, you need to call the cops. So then she's like, where are you hiding? And I'm like, in the bathtub. And she's like, get out of there. And so I, real quietly, I opened up my bedroom window, and I ran all the way to the back, and I waited there. And I'm like, Mom, don't get off the phone with me. Don't get off the phone with me. I think she called the cops. And it seemed like I was on the side of the house for the longest time. And then I heard footsteps coming, you know, like leaves were crunching. And I'm like, but it was my mom. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And so they go and they look in the house, and like, nobody's in here. Like, there's nobody. And I'm like, yeah, but like everything was moved around and there was like footsteps and they were loud. And they're like, nobody's in here.
Nothing was like moved around?
Nothing was moved. The doors weren't messed with. There was no windows open.
The pins? Were they on the floor?
No.
Holy shit.
What?
So then, you know, at that time, my stepdad at the time was like, no, she was just doing it for attention. Like, there was nobody there. And, you know, we were all at work and, you know, the brother was at school. And I'm like, no, like somebody was there. I heard it. And I was like, if you were there, you would know. And then, so my mom, she believed me. But then, you know, there was kind of like that disbelief and like, you heard all that. And I'm like, why would I jump out the window if I heard all that? You know?
And make it up. Why would you make it up?
Why would I make something like that up and then like cry, like come home from work, please? Like I would never do that. Like I never was the type of person to, you know, do that. So then there was this one night there at that same house. My mom, she came up in the dark and I didn't see her. So I was like, you know, like all PTSD.
Yeah.
And she's like, you really did see something, didn't you? And I'm like, yes. I was like, yes, I did. And she's like, I believe you. And so that was like the second scariest thing that I've ever seen. And so now fast forward, I just see things. I see the shadow people. I'll be doing some laundry and then I'll come up to the stairs and then in the corner you see like, it's not a mist. It's like a full-on man shape, but it's all black. And then I'm like, and I look and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so this next one that really scared me is when my oldest, he was 4 at the time, or I would say 3, he would always say, oh, I see things. Mommy, what's that over there? It's behind the curtains. And I'm just like,
Bitch, behind the curtain.
I'm like, what are you talking about? There's nothing there. He's like, yeah, Mama, it's right there. And I'm like, no. I'm like, it's okay. There's nothing there. Like, it's gone now. He's like, no, it's there.
He's like, no.
He's like,
I
Mom,
see
it's
it.
right there.
And then he would call them like little froggies. And he'd be like, look, there's a lot of little froggies on the window. But there was nothing there. And so time went past, you know, and I would always pray about these things because I'm a big prayer. Mm-hmm. And it was not too long ago. I want to say about a year ago. We were getting ready for school and he comes to my room and says, oh, Mom, who was watching you sleep? Who was that lady? And I'm like, what lady? And he was like, she was watching you sleep. And he's like, I saw her. She was like standing over you. Like, he's like, and then I just went to bed, but she was still there. So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And so I thought he just had maybe a dream. And I'm like, he's going to forget about it later. Mm-hmm. So then when I went to pick him up from the grandparents' house, he's like, so Mama, who was that lady?
That's when you're like, shit.
I'm like, oh, now I can't sleep. And this lady's watching me sleep. Like, am I going to see her at the corner of like my closet or what? But
Ashley.
Yeah, but wait, there's more.
My arm's like already shaking. And
don't be shy, put some more.
There is a lot more, but I could go on. So, I mean, now it's just like shadows in the corner. Mm-hmm. I have seen, you know, those shadows that just run straight past, and I'm like, I could have sworn like there was somebody there. But it's just, now it's just a bunch of shadows. Mm-hmm. It's nothing like I did see that night, the glowing white figure.
Ashley's hair is falling out.
Yep.
Or that voice you caught on on video.
That was scary.
Mm-hmm. You caught a voice?
Yeah, so I was like recording and all you hear is Lina. And I was like,
and in the video she's like, her face.
I know, and then going back to it, I was like, wait, what if I caught it? And I did. So like you can hear it, and both of them have heard it. Mm-hmm. Like all you hear is,
I had to put my headphones in.
Yeah, you hear it.
Lina.
And I was like, okay, I think I heard it. But I thought, because I was listening out for her, I thought maybe I didn't. But then her face looked like, what the fuck? And I was like, okay, yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
Oh, Lina.
Lina and her stories.
You know what, though? My little sister she calls them black people. And it sounds, I know.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I know it sounds racist, but like, because she was real little, and then she would tell my mom, I saw black people. And then my mom goes, Sophia, that's rude. Like, you're not supposed to say that. Like, no, you don't say black people. She goes, but they're all black. They're all, like, head to toe, they're all black. Where are you seeing these people? I saw them down the hallway. And that's where my mom's like, oh, shit. So the very first time I've ever seen, like, I've seen stuff my whole life. You know, ever since I was little, my mom was like, you've always, like, been prone to the paranormal. Like, when my Aunt Sabrina died, she said that night after her funeral, I was sitting at the edge of the bed, and I was real little. I was probably, like, about 2 or 3 when she passed. And I was, like, reaching up, crying for somebody at the doorway. And my mom was going to get me to go back to bed, and my dad grabbed her and was like, no, she's saying goodbye to your sister. So, like, stuff like that, or, like, I would have imaginary friends, and then when I got older, I kind of, like, slowly forgot about it, but I was still, like, interested in paranormal. But I want to say it was when I was, like, 12. I was probably 11 or 12, and this is where, like, shit hit the fan for me, where, like, I believe, like, I truly, like, developed, like, my, I don't know, like, clairvoyance, like, developed more. I was laying down in my parents' bedroom watching a movie. My parents and my little sister, Vanessa, were in the living room watching a different movie. And my dad comes, and he's like, hey, do you want me to turn off the light? I was like, yeah, turn off the light. And then he goes back to the living room. Well, then I thought I saw him go to the front room and then walk back. And usually, like, whenever we watch movies, my dad always makes sure, like, all the lights are on outside and then makes sure that the front door is locked. So I thought that's what he was doing. Well, when he walked back this way, he slowly started walking backwards. And I looked, but I couldn't tell if it was my dad because I didn't see a face. There was no face, no facial features. Like, I couldn't see, like, my dad's shirt that he was wearing. My dad wears, like, black shirts, but it's always, like, a Spurs or Metallica, Iron Maiden, like, stuff like that. And I couldn't tell. Well, then he started walking towards my parents' bedroom. And I was like, Dad? And I looked, and I got up, and I crawled, like, towards, like, the edge of the bed, and I looked more closely, and then that's when I really saw, like, there was no facial figure or anything there, and then it just leaned against the doorway, like, with his elbow or his elbow, I wouldn't say his, because it was the silhouette of a man, his elbow up, and just, like, stare at me. And I screamed so loud, because at that moment, I heard my dad yell, Vanessa, get over here. And I was like, it's not my dad. So I screamed and I yelled. My mom came running, and I'm, like, hiding under the covers, shaking. And, like, from then on is when, like, everything, like, I started seeing stuff more, hearing things, like. So when my mom told me that about my little sister, I was like, the very first time I saw something, it was like a shadow person. And that's when my mom's like, crap. So my little sister sees stuff. Like, my little sister sees shadow people. She used to call them black people because she didn't know what to call them. You know what I mean? They were all, like, silhouette of, like, just black. Well, now she's like, I see somebody in the hallway. He's reading the book, or he has a backpack on, but it's just like, I always tell her it's just like souls passing through. Like, just ignore them. They're just, like, passing through. But honestly, think because she's, like, the light,
so young,
and she's so young, and she's so pure, you know what I mean? Like, they're all attracted to that. So I just tell her not to pay attention. Like, don't acknowledge them. Don't talk to them. If they don't see her, or if they don't acknowledge her, she shouldn't acknowledge that because she's so little. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, when you told me that, it reminded me of my first experience. And then my little sister sees shadow people too.
It's so weird that you said that the shadow was leaning against the door, because I saw that when I was, like, 4 years old. I remember because I lived in Laredo with my dad and my mom. We had a 2-story house. And Priscilla was little, so she slept with my mom and dad. She was a baby. And my brother had his own room. My brother's always, like, playing games or watching TV, so he was a teenager. He never got out of his room, so I know it wasn't him. But I remember I was laying there, and then usually, like, when my dad would say goodnight, he would stand by the doorway, but he would just stand there and be like, okay, buenas noches. Like, you know, all Mexican and all tough, like, buenas noches, like, show no love, you know? But this time, it was just all black. And it was leaning against the doorway. And I remember I saw that and I was like, Papi, 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 like trying to annoy it or like, and for it to talk to me and it wouldn't. And I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, whatever. I turned the light off. And then I remember like I put my head down and then I started seeing more people, but they were walking around my bed. Like they were all in a line walking around my bed. And they were walking and walking
like
in
a
circles.
tribe?
Yeah. Walking and walking in circles. And I'm like, I just remember I was laying there and I'm like, okay, I can't run because they're around my bed. So I'm like, what do I do? And I'm little at this time, but I remember this and it's not a dream because I clearly remember it. And so I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my head under my pillow and then they're going to go away. Put my head under my pillow. And then I just remember like after maybe like 10 minutes, I didn't hear anything. I was like, let me just check. So I check. The people around my bed were gone, but the person was still leaning against the door. And I'm like, shit, like I can't run. So then again, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put my head down. So I put my head down and then like, that's it. I woke up the next morning. But what's so weird is I woke up the next morning, but I was under my mom's bed. I don't know how I got there. I just know they were like looking for me and they couldn't find me. They were about to call the cops, but I was under my mom's bed the whole time.
And they don't know how you got there? You don't remember how you got there either?
I don't remember.
That's so crazy.
I don't remember how I got there. I just, maybe in the middle of the night, I wanted to sleep with them, but I didn't want to wake up my dad because my dad, he wasn't mean like to beat my ass, but he was strict. He wouldn't let us sleep with him. And so I think maybe I wanted to feel their presence maybe, but not be there with them.
You didn't want them to find you?
Yeah.
Or to know you were there?
Yeah, so I like went in and I probably crawled under the bed, but I just remember I woke up under the bed and I'm like, what the heck? It was, I don't know, it was super weird. And this all happened in Laredo, so don't go to Laredo. I'm just kidding.
We're too calm as children, man.
Well,
like,
I didn't know what to do. Like, I wasn't going to run through it. You know what I mean?
For a long
I was
time,
what the
for a long
heck?
time, I couldn't take a shower by myself. Like, my mom had to literally, I made my mom, like, sit on the toilet until I was done taking a shower. And, like, my little sister, too, like, she doesn't like to be submerged in the dark either. Like, at all.
don't.
She doesn't like to. She's just, like, there's something about, I remember, too, she would tell me, like, there's just something in the darkness, like, something just staring at me, and I feel it, and they just stare at me like they're staring into my soul, and I'm like, oh my god, like, you are my twin.
See, that's why I like it when Nick plays video games inside the room, because I can go to sleep and there's light coming,
Yeah.
and I can hear somebody there. But now he moved to the living room because it's like better connection or whatever. So I'm by myself, so I sleep with the light on. And I told my dad, I was like, I ain't turning it off until he gets in the bed. Just let you know. I was like, it's on. And then I had a little like reading light, but it like the light bulb went out, and I was like,
Yeah, and like we, you know, me and Tim, we would sleep with the lights off before we had Sabrina. But I would always have like a candle lit. Like there was some kind of light in the bedroom. But now, like with Sabrina, I'm like, no, like she can't be submerged in the dark, because there was one time where he had her in the dark, and I swear, like, and he didn't tell me. He just put her in the crib. He like closed the door halfway and then went upstairs, or came upstairs to play video games or whatever. And then I looked because I swear I saw somebody go into the room, but I heard him playing the game. So I got up and I looked, and all the lights were off in the bedroom. I was like, oh, hell no. So I went and turned on all the lights. I lit the candle because I saw somebody go into the bedroom. Yeah. But it was like real quick, like in my peripheral vision. Scary. So we do have a listener story.
oh my god, there's more.
This is from Callie. She wrote in to us back in July, and I was specifically waiting for it. It's really short, but I was specifically waiting for this episode to tell her story. And she says, sorry, Ashley.
Thank you.
It's okay.
She said, so I think my house is haunted because it had a shadow person that used to stand in my doorway. On one day, he had been standing in my doorway, but he had never gotten close to me. But that night he did. He walked close to my bed, and then he melted underneath my bed. He tapped my bed for a while from under my bed. The next day, I tried to tell my parents, but they didn't believe me. It happened for a whole week after. Then I banished them from my house. I don't know. She sounds pretty young.
Yeah.
But so then I messaged her back and I was just like, hey, Callie, you know, thank you for writing us. I was like, oh my gosh, that's scary. So I gave her like some prayers to read, things that she can do. I did ask her if she had any experiences after that. She was like, yeah. She's like, I don't know if it's a shadow person. She's like, but it was just all black, no facial features. She did say that her little brother always says that he sees something in their closet, and then they have a little crawl space in the house, and sometimes they see stuff crawling in or out of there. And she did say that at one point she did hear the door of the crawl space opening and closing at night, like if something was coming in or out, or maybe going back in right before the sunlight came up.
Bolt it.
Mm-hmm. So she also said that she's very protective of her family. So like at one point she would stay up all night just checking on everybody, checking on her brother. She would hear weird noises. She would hear things crawl on the floor, like crawl past her on the floor. She said that she doesn't know if she doesn't want to provoke anything and like make it mad, but she wanted to like get some advice on like cleansing. So I had sent her like some links to prayers and like, you can sage. I can send you some sage if you want it. Just let me know. She hasn't wrote me back, but she just said that she was going to try the prayers and see if that worked. So it kind of reminds me of the creeper.
Yeah.
How it just...
Ooh.
Ew.
I've seen that.
The little noise.
I've seen like stuff crawling on the floor.
Well, I'm
You okay?
exhausted.
Yeah.
No, emotionally exhausted.
A lot of stuff has happened during this episode.
Yes. It's been a long episode and I'm hungry.
Very
Why
long
would they
episode.
choose this one? You couldn't do it when I was gone or something?
Well, they did.
But they did it when I was here. That's the
Oh.
problem.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I guess we could have recorded this episode when you weren't here, but it was kind of fun.
I should have been like, guys, sorry, proceed without me.
And she's downstairs watching TV.
Actually, we
I'm
thought
happy.
you left.
I always have to watch something happy. Like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch Bambi or something because
Oh my
I need to
God.
watch
Watch
something
Bambi.
happy.
Don't watch Bambi.
Well,
Well,
yeah, but...
Watch Cinderella.
Well, guys, we're hungry, so we're gonna go get food after all those emotional
Scary.
roller coasters
Yeah.
that happened. As you can tell, we're very haunted. I'm gonna cleanse my house again, but if you have any shadow people stories you want to send us, just put in the subject line, sorry, Ashley, shadow people.
Or send me
Something.
pugs. Send me pug pictures. I'll be fine. Something
Or-
happy.
Or if you can relate to some stories to Lina, you can write to Lina too. Send it to her Gmail at scarynotScaryPodcast@gmail.com. You can also look us up on our website, scarynotScaryPodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube.
Yep.
We post our episodes on there, but we still don't know how that's happening. It's
Yeah.
through our host. It just
Somehow.
happens.
Good.
And it's been posted on Twitter and Facebook too. I don't know how
Yeah.
that's. I'm
Yeah.
not doing that.
It's doing
Me
the
neither.
work for us.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't either.
It's
Thank
the
you.
official 10th member of Scary Not Scary podcast.
Mhm.
And make sure you join our Facebook page. It's Scary Not Scary fan page.
Yeah.
We
Scary
might
Not
change
Scary
it.
podcast.
It's very long.
Yeah.
I might change it to Scary Not Scary VIP or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something
Yeah.
shorter.
Something shorter, but yeah, we'll post the link on our actual Facebook, so you can. All you have to do is answer 2 questions, and then you'll be able to get in. But everybody always shares like links to stories. They share their experiences on there. We share a lot of like scary photos and stuff that
Yeah.
we find on the internet on there as well. It's very fun.
Yeah.
And make sure you rate and review us on iTunes podcast app, follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and download Podbean and subscribe to us on Podbean.
Yay.
And we want to thank Lina for joining us today.
Thank you, Lina.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for bringing all of your paranormal shadow people with you.
Yes, thank you.
There's some here.
I'm sure that's who was knocking on my door or on the wall
Or running up the stairs.
and then running up the stairs.
Yep.
I'm sure they're standing behind Ashley right now.
Don't look.
Don't look.
Don't breathe. But yes, we need to bring you back again because that was a lot of fun.
This was fun.
You can also find Lina on our Scary Not Scary Facebook page. She posts on there a lot.
Yes, I do.
So, yeah. Thank you, Lina.
Thank you.
That's it.
And until next time, don't be submerged in the dark. But remember to always stay
Scary.